Hey, and welcome to another day of crafting. Today I'm going to put together a centerpiece. I think that centerpieces are fantastic because it doesn't take that much to make a centerpiece, and when you do, it adds so much to your table. It just makes it look really festive and beautiful. And they're really easy to make, and you can find a lot of cheap materials that would look beautiful when you put them together. So first of all, I have this wooden plaque here. This is reused from my wedding, so it's not costing me anything to use. You can find these at a craft store for a couple dollars a piece, so it's really not that bad. Or if you have big trees that you've cut down, you can just cut your own and get it for free. I also have this big vase, also from my wedding, so once again, I'm saving a lot of expenses by not having to purchase anything. Although, once again, Habitat for Humanity comes to the rescue. You can find these jars for like 50 cents a piece at Habitat for Humanity. So, super cheap. So before we get going on how to actually construct the centerpiece, I'm just going to give you a couple of tips that I like to use to decorate my table to make it look beautiful during the holidays. First of all, you'll notice that I have a sparkly, shiny tablecloth on my table. You can get plastic for pretty cheap, or you can invest in a more fabric-y type of tablecloth. I like fabric tablecloths because they do cost a little bit more up front, but they last forever as long as you take care of them. So you can find some really pretty ones, and it's definitely worth the investment. Also, you'll notice I have a plastic cover on top of mine. Once again, it just protects your tablecloth. So I would always invest in a plastic tablecloth for a couple bucks, just to keep your table looking beautiful. So next I'm going to talk about the materials that I'm going to use to construct my centerpiece. I'm going for more of a rustic-y looking centerpiece, so I try to pick items that you might find out in nature. Of course, Christmas balls, probably not, but you get the gist of it. I got some pine cones, berries, cinnamon sticks, fake fern pieces, things that kind of look like things that you might find outside. I also added some old Christmas ornaments just to make it look festive and add a little sparkle. And I like the little jingle bells, so I thought they looked pretty cool, so I figured I'd include them. It can be a little bit tricky deciding what you're going to put in your centerpiece because we're going to end up filling it with water. So you need to make sure that the items that you choose are items that are going to sink, or at least you'll be able to position them in the jar so that they stay still. One trick that I have is these Christmas ornaments. All Christmas ornaments tend to be hollow in the middle, so of course they're not going to float when you put them in a jar. However, you can always take the tops off of these, and they're hollow inside, and all you do is fill it up with water so that it sinks, and then pop the top right back on. So it's a super simple way to make an ornament that's going to sink in your jar. I also just wanted to point out that you can once again save money on these type of things. You can find these at Goodwill, at Habitat for Humanity, cut them off old wreaths, use old Christmas ornaments that you don't want anymore, fill them up with water. So really you can save money if you need to. If not, you can splurge on some fun things to put in there. Either way, they're going to look absolutely beautiful, and it's really simple to do. So basically, you're just going to construct it however you like it, honestly. Some of these things are buoyant. These are definitely going to float, so I want to make sure that I put them towards the bottom so that when I add some bigger items, I know that they will stay put. I think that that's probably pretty good. The next step is just going to be adding the water and hoping that all of your things stay where they're supposed to stay. I like to carefully just add the water using a cup. It's just the simplest thing to do. And it looks like my stuff, knock on wood, is going to be staying put. Now, if you don't feel like you want to add water into that, you can fill it more up to the top and it'd still look beautiful without it. I'm adding water for the simple reason that I like to add floating candles on the top of mine so that I can light them up so that they'll look really beautiful. But you don't have to do that. You could keep it dry if you wanted to. However, for me, oh, got a couple things floating. However, for me, I like to add the water so that I can have my floating candles at the top, which just look really pretty. And after a little bit of fidgeting around, you end up with this beautiful little centerpiece. So I noted that I like to add water into mine because I like to add a floating candle, which is super simple. All you need is one of these floating candles. You can get them pretty much anywhere. Just pop it up there on the top. So just to finish everything off, I had a couple of extra candles from last year that I needed to use up, as well as a few extra cinnamon sticks from the centerpiece. So all I did was hot glue them around the edges of the candle, makes it look beautiful and rustic. And I of course also had a few extra materials left over from creating the centerpiece itself. So I just distributed them along the wooden board just to give it a little extra character, and I think it looks beautiful. So this is how you make a very simple centerpiece that adds a lot of life and character and holiday cheer to your table.
This is your masterpiece, don't forget.